I've kind of been wondering, like, what am I like doing here? What's the kind of the purpose of being here? Because like I don't think it's a holiday, but like, am I representing like goldsmiths? Am I making work for goldsmiths? Am I making work for LaSalle? Is the work for myself? Maybe I'm making it for my mum. Like really, what am I doing here? Sharing this tiny room with a stranger, a person I had just met for 2 weeks. Is this what residencies are about? At least there's a pool. Who am I trying to please? Am I trying to please my peers for future collaborations? Or am I trying to impress goldsmiths and LaSalle in return for their generosity? Or am I doing this all for myself? I mean, I guess I just want to know what everyone else wants from me. So wherever I go, I think it kind of sits in the back of my head and wondering, like, what can I make that can offer an adequate return for my being here? What will satisfy my peers? I kind of came up with an idea that felt really good, and I think that it could really go a long way to kind of share how I feel about this whole experience. I kind of had all these different ideas about what I might do for the residency, but found myself consumed by the desire to short-circuit the work and instead make plain or clear my wishes. Do you know the way to Haw-Par Villa?
Haw-Par Villa, you go down.
Yeah.
Take the train on your left.
Yeah.
To Botanical Garden.
Okay, towards Botanical Garden.
Then you change to a circle line.
Okay.
All the way to Haw-Par Villa.
Okay, thank you very much. It seems to me to be important to keep an eye on my transactions as I make these journeys. In a way, I think that money can be a really simple way of kind of defining a certain amount of kind of giving or taking back. I learnt in my time here, in my recent time in Singapore, that you could make a wish in the Haw-Par Villa. Hello.
Oh, yeah.
Hey, do you know where you go to like make a wish?
Make a wish?
Yeah, for luck. Underneath the model of the 8 immortals invading Neptune's palace, you can make a wish. First you must touch this sign, and then you must throw a coin into the well, also known as the Tiger Well by the locals. And I've come here to make a wish. My wish is that everyone is satisfied with my contribution to the show. Guy working in the reception, when I asked him to send me to the wishing well, he pointed out for me to go to the 10 gates of hell. I can only hope that he misheard what I asked of him. I guess I also question the value of these actions that I'm doing. That if someone else has paid for me to be here, and someone else is it's someone else's money, does that mean really that I'm not returning anything at all?
We leave at 10.
Yeah.
We'll go to St. John. Any of these two timing will bring you from St. John to Kusu. And any of these two timing will bring you from Kusu directly back to Marina South.
For Kusu?
Yes. Alright.
Okay, great.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Supernatural power of this island. And people come here to harness that power, to wish for good fortune, more so or predominantly in fertility, where they come here and hang bags with 2 pebbles in them to represent the fertility of man. And supposedly, if you hang them up in the trees here, you will conceive in that year. But if you don't come back to bring them down the year later, you'll keep on conceiving. And the main reason that I came to this island was to invoke the power of hanging pebbles from the tree. But instead of invoking the power of fertility, I'm looking to invoke the power of harmony. And I want to harmonize my practice, my career, with Concrete Comedy by David Robbins. Now, it's a book that I've never read, and now maybe never will read, but of which my friends who I trust, when talking about my artwork, tell me it has the ability to be like a cornerstone of my practice. So instead of reading it, I hope to invoke the supernatural powers of this island, so that my artwork or my practice might synergize with this book, and that I will have great success in all the shows that I have now, from now and onwards. Now that I've made my wish here, I find myself stuck for 2 hours, and I wonder whether I'm using my time wisely. Like, do I even believe in the power of wishes? And even if I do, isn't like the first rule of wishes is you can't tell people what you've wished for, otherwise it won't come true? Or am I being a bit duplicitous and preying on your empathy and asking you to understand that all I want is for you to be satisfied with my contribution to this show that we're in together, or that we're creating together, and that what I've done is adequate. And if this work is the wish for the work to be accepted and for you to be satisfied with my contribution, can this work even be a work? Because isn't it more like the prelude to a work? So it's unable to ever truly exist as an artwork. I was wondering if I could like record you giving it to me, because I'm making it for like an art film. Is that okay? So I'm gonna come back and ask for it again.
Okay.
And now to eternalize my art bond together on this residency, I'm going to put it on the Lovelock heart. And I don't want it to seem like this is like you forcing you to love me, but it does feel a bit like that. And I also quite like the irony that it's a little bit kind of corny that it's got the corporate Clarks thing on it. So with this, I eternalize our future relationships as I walk away from the Lovelock Bridge, or heart, I guess. I wonder whether it's really possible to enter into an eternal relationship with anybody without both people or all peoples being present. And maybe it's bad of me to make this wish on behalf of everyone that I'm working with in this exhibition. There's another question that I have as I kind of consider the nature of this work, and it's like the question of if in the act of making this work, which is to wish for the work to be a success, does the wish nullify itself? Can the wish ever be fulfilled? Isn't it one of the key aspects of wishes that you shouldn't tell everyone what your wish was, otherwise it will never come true? And in the same way then, does this work defeat itself? My anxiety has returned now that I'm editing. Are people going to understand what it is I'm trying to do? Have I been on a fool's errand? Have I been foolhardy, going to all these places to make wishes? I mean, all I care is that you know that I care, and that you're satisfied with my contribution to this process, and that what I've done and what I've performed is adequate as a kind of repayment for being here. I mean, I had all these other ideas of things that I could have done, but I don't think that any of them could truly communicate my deepest desire. If you know the truth of my desire, which is to please you, then does that kind of empower the wish again by asking you to endear yourself to me? And I guess also I wonder whether it kind of pushes back or blocks kind of criticism of the work, because I'm inviting you into kind of my neurosis or my anxieties. And also, how can you criticize the idea of a work? In the end, I think that my biggest wish or my biggest desire is I hope that this work can go some way to erase the debt of the residency.